All right, everyone, welcome to the Loans Can Be Fun podcast. We're joined today with Brigham Young with Be Aware Home Inspections, and
Yep.
we're going to pick his brain today.
Yeah, Brigham
Awesome.
has been in a BNI group with us. And so, well, he visits, he fills in for people. But we see you a lot because a lot of
Right.
people know you and like you. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your business, how you got into it. Just kind of give us the skinny.
Sure. Yeah, I've all my life enjoyed doing repairs, remodeling on homes. Finished different parts of basements and even finished a whole basement. And so when we moved this last time, my realtor said, "Well, you ought to try home inspections," and I looked into it and decided to do it.
Because you were
Yeah.
identifying the things that were wrong.
Because I'm real familiar with what's going on in homes and how
Right.
they're put together. And in fact, the last home we're in, I finished the whole basement, did everything except lay the carpet.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm real familiar with that. So in 2017, I decided to do it in Utah. Strangely enough, there are no licensing
I
requirements,
know.
no restrictions, no
Really? You
anything.
You literally just have to be like,
Yeah.
I want to be a home
Hey.
inspector.
If you
Yes.
can convince someone to hire you, you can be a home inspector. But I went and got certified. There's a group called Internachi, and so I took the test, and I passed it first time, but also there's like 20 some hours of
Like
online
education.
class that you take,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that. So I'm a certified home inspector. So that was
Yeah.
in 2017, and been doing it
So,
since.
did you have a construction background, or is it just you just like to fix things and figure it out?
No, I haven't. Other than learning myself, I mean, I pretty much self-taught, and
Yeah.
that was
That's like my
before
husband.
YouTube. Now there's YouTube, so
I know,
anything
right?
you want to know, you can find out. But before then, yeah, it was kind of like learn the hard way. And
Yeah, there's a few things that I will not do myself. Sheetrock is one of them. We tried that, and I was like, that is definitely one for the professionals.
I definitely don't want to get into plumbing.
Yeah, no, that I
don't-
wouldn't. Actually, I think Erickson, my husband, has installed a toilet, but he's like an
Yeah.
engineer.
I've
and
installed a toilet,
they're not
but
that
I'm not
hard,
going to
but-
like do the piping.
No, haven't done-
heck no.
So, what did you do before home inspections?
well, I have had another business. It's called Salt Lake Bride.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wedding directory site where we sell ad space online.
Nice.
I've had that since '03, so
Okay.
I still have it.
Yeah.
So it works out good because that has peaks of being busy, and
Yeah.
then it gives me
Sometimes where
time
it's
to
not.
work in with the home inspections too.
Okay, I didn't know that. I'm learning
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. Now, what services does your company offer? I mean, I'm assuming mold, radon. What
Yep.
else?
In addition to the regular home inspection, which people usually get when they're buying a home, I mean, that's not the only time they have to do it.
Sure.
Sometimes sellers want to know what their home is going to be.
What needs to be repaired?
And
yeah.
others just want to know. But
Yeah.
when someone's buying a home, we do the regular home inspection. But in addition to that, there's, and we can talk more about what the inspection is, but in addition, we do, like you mentioned, mold, meth, which
Yeah,
is
that-
pretty prevalent in
yeah,
Utah.
that's
You
crazy to
you
me,
wouldn't
but yeah.
think there it is, but it is. We do radon testing, which radon is a gas that comes up from the soil.
and kills you.
They say it's the second leading cause of lung cancer after smoking.
Maybe that's
So-
maybe that's what I have going on. Instead of
like-
my allergies to cats, it's radon.
And it's a simple test. You can do it yourself. There's lots of places and resources to do a test.
Okay.
What I have found, there's on my website, there's a chart. They did a test in 2019. Well, it's published in 2019. So they took all the homes and all this, broke it out by zip code in the state
Okay.
of Utah. And so you could look on that and see,
Like well, highest levels.
yeah, where you're tend to fall based
Is
on
it
the zip
correct that
code.
you're more like East Bench where there's more rocks?
Yep, that's been my understanding. And if you look at the zip code, that fills out wherever the soil
where
is
I grew
more
up.
porous. Wherever the soil is more porous, more gas seems to come up through
So
the soil.
how do you fix radon? It's usually a ventilation type thing, right?
Yeah, if you're over a certain level, then you want to probably get it fixed. But it comes up through the cracks in the cement
Yeah.
and different places and stays in the basement. So a lot of the newer homes I'm seeing, they're actually putting them in as
Just
they're building them because it's
preventative, yeah.
real cheap. So yeah, they just put a 4 to 6 inch pipe into the ground
Yeah.
and put a little pump on there, and so instead of the gas coming into the house, it sucks it out and discharges it up above
That's
the roof
interesting.
line.
I probably need to check that. So if you're mostly not built into the ground, you can still have issues though, right? Like if you're, anything on dirt, right?
Yeah,
Or
anything that it's coming up through the dirt. So if
Okay.
you have cracks in your cement, which
You're not
most
gonna
all
see.
cement has
Yeah.
cracks in it, but if you have carpet over it or something, you're not going to see them.
Right.
So I would recommend before I finished my basement, I patched all the cracks, caulked them in, and
I'm sure
they've
you have
stayed
certain
well.
things that you're like, I know what a problem it's going to be if I don't
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah, and so it's, that's what I did. But they do that, and if you have a dirt space in your basement or a crawl space, they cover that and seal that when they put in the system. So
Interesting. Okay, so you do mold, meth, radon. Do you do any of the heat tests or like the infrared type stuff?
I did infrared in another job for 12 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm real familiar with it. I think it can be important. I personally don't do it.
Yeah.
But you have to know what you're looking for, because
Right.
all infrared does is gives you an indication of the temperature differentiation. So you could point your camera at something and see a differentiation, but you have to know how to interpret that.
Right, because it could be totally normal.
Right. Yeah, you could.
You could see some big flare and be like, "Oh no!" And it's like, "No,
Yeah,
that's what
you
it's
could
supposed
have a
to be
hot water
doing."
pipe behind the wall or something.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things. Basically, home inspections are to look at the things that we can observe.
Okay.
And so the infrared is a good tool. There's
Yeah.
some people that do it, but I think it's sold as a sizzle too. Hey, I have this infrared. And,
Right. Well, I mean,
and-
it's cool to see, right?
yeah,
You're like, "Ooh."
yeah. It
You look
looks
like you're
cool.
on Predator and stuff.
Right.
But I think there's other signs of moisture, because mainly what you're looking for with infrared is moisture. They do use it sometimes on the electrical panels, but
Yeah.
that gives an indication there. But another test that we do that's fairly important in an older home particularly is a sewer line scope.
I've heard that can
take a
cause such
camera.
issues.
Yeah, we just take a camera and run it down the sewer line and goes out to the sewer main.
Jericho's gross.
Yeah.
Hey, he didn't say put his hand down the
Well,
sewer.
I know, but
It's-
like,
But then it's coming back up.
They wipe it-
Is it
you wipe it
disposable
out.
where you can just like let it go down?
You wipe it off as it's coming out and
Ugh.
do it again. But yeah, it runs down and it has the light and the camera. And then as you pull it back, typically you're able to see everything in there. Older homes, like they used
Roots
clay
and stuff.
tiles,
Oh, yeah.
clay pipes. And so the joints, roots will come in there. Sometimes they'll get offset or crushed. And I've seen some that were way plugged up. I mean,
It's
on our
like
website, we have some
$30,000 or
pictures.
It's
something.
expensive if
Yeah.
everything gets backed up. So in a situation where you have clay pipes, do they just run pipes inside of those?
They can, yeah,
So
as a
just to
fix.
try to fix
And
it.
so, yeah, our goal is basically just to let people know what the issues are, and then
Right,
they
so
decide
they can make a
whether
decision,
whether
yeah.
they want to move ahead or get money
Well,
back.
because that's
or
an
whatever.
expensive repair if you have like sewer backup or
Oh, yeah.
problems with it, where
yeah.
if you're not planning on that, like one of my borrowers actually didn't do, they had like this weird septic type system, whatever, and the city required them to come in and do like $15,000 worth of repairs to hook up into their lines and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
there,
yeah.
that was not even on the radar
Yep.
when they bought the house.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden they had to
if
do
you
that.
have to go into the sewer line, now it is cheaper to reline it,
Mm-hmm.
do some things like that, and they can do that without digging the whole thing up. But
Yeah.
you can be 15 to 30,000 pretty easily
It's
to
crazy.
do that. And in different towns,
I know, does that make you sick?
it's more expensive even in different towns
Yeah.
too, because the
This was out in
cities.
Hooper, and she got, I mean, it probably ended up more than that, and she was just like, oh my gosh. Like,
The cities require like licensing and all kinds of fees just to tear into their
Yep.
street and tie into the city main, because most of the mains run down the middle of the
that's
street.
exactly. So when you do your home inspections, what are some of the most common problems you see?
Yeah, believe it or not, here in Utah, one of the most common is gutters that don't expend away, or downspouts that
Yeah.
don't extend away from the home.
Really?
They just come
we
and
see
dump
that
it
on a
right
lot
down.
of reports, yeah.
And I mean, it's not a big deal unless you're getting a ton of moisture, but
Right.
you want the moisture away from
You
the
want it
foundation.
away from the house, yeah.
We see leaves in gutters plugged up all the time. And then on homes that are a little older, we see GFI not installed, which they weren't required at the time, but it's a
they need to
safety
be, yeah.
issue. I check smoke alarms too. I'm not required to test them all, but I try to test the smoke alarms. So we see a lot of smoke alarms that aren't working. And there'll be just another issue is cracking in the cement, the driveway, the walkways, the steps, settling a little bit.
Sometimes our FHA loans, I've had to have the borrowers grind them down so they're not trip hazards. That's one of the things that FHA kind of cared about is the safety of those. So you have to find somebody to come grind a driveway or a sidewalk or whatever.
Yeah, and they're even new ones. I had a guy pour a big patio for us. We did a basketball court in our driveway, and he said, I can guarantee it'll get hard and it'll crack. So
yeah, one of my friends, Brian Training, that we had on here, he said, do you want to know the 3 things you need to know about cement? And I was sure. He's like, it's going to crack, and no one can steal it. It was like,
yeah, no one can steal
it was
it.
kind of like that's kind of sad, but okay.
So yeah, you see that, and sometimes you get a bad batch of cement, and so you see spalling.
I'm a little worried about on my new house. I'm seeing some stuff, and it's only like
my
9
house
months
in
old.
the back, it's like, whoop.
Yeah, and so you see some real bad ones on older ones, but again, what we do is point out what we see, and then it's up to the customer, the buyer, to decide if that's an issue.
Right.
I mean,
there's things
you
that you
never
go, I
know.
can fix that, or hey, I'm not willing to take on a sewer issue like that, and things like that. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to order a home inspection?
Yeah, phone number, my cell phone, call or text is probably the easiest, 801-792-6479.
And then are you on Facebook or anything?
Yep, I'm on, have a website, so beawarehomeinspections.com. And then I have Facebook. I do some on Instagram and put some videos up on YouTube. Not too many, but mostly the sewer
I know, I
videos.
struggle with-
Instagram is so confusing to me.
I
don't
have not
get it.
figured it out, and
I don't get it.
I think I'm too old. But you should know.
I
You're
should
younger.
know. And I play with cameras too. Like I should know.
I don't know.
I don't
I
get
think
it.
you just have to be an Instagram mom to understand.
I
it.
think
don't know.
Facebook is, you can reach me on Facebook or
Okay.
any number, but if you just Google Be Aware Home Inspections, I'll come up.
Okay, perfect.
I have a decent website. I'm just redoing it now, but
Cool.
And then you don't have to be like someone buying a house to get a home inspection, right?
Nope. No, if you want to know the condition of your home, I've done it for people that are planning on selling a home. I just did a meth test for a guy that's selling his home just because he wanted to know.
Yeah.
So it was yesterday.
Or people
so.
like me who don't know how to fix a house or what to look for at all.
Yeah, what's wrong with your
Yeah,
house?
it's like, can you tell me what's wrong with my house? Because I've ignored it for 5 years, and now it's
Well-
time for
Have
me
you
to
lived
stop.
there for
it.
5 years?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
wild.
he moved
Maybe
into
it's
my old
four-
neighborhood.
four and
I
a
don't
half.
know.
No, this year's 5.
You got to be kidding me.
So yeah, the normal
No way.
home inspection is probably just looking for things that are deficiencies, and how to fix them is kind of beyond. But since I've done a lot, I'll have people say, "Hey, I want to remove this wall. What do you think?" And I'll say,
That's a bearing
probably
wall."
a bearing wall. You'd have to put in a beam if you wanted to do that, or
Yep.
no, it doesn't appear to be a bearing wall if you want to do that, or hey, we're thinking of moving the washer and dryer from here to here, and I said, well, yeah, there's probably plumbing right here in this wall. You could probably do that if you want. So
Right.
it's
Just comes with experience.
yeah,
For sure.
it comes with experience.
Well, and I think when you've done work on a house, and whether it was your own or other things like that, you learn so much
Seriously.
of what you shouldn't do personally, like sheetrock.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or what things where you're like, oh, I totally get that or whatever. So, okay, that's awesome.
I'll tell you a funny story on plumbing. This was back before YouTube. This was 30 plus years ago. And I'd done soldering as a kid, just playing around. So I was moving.
That's what they did back in the day
Just
for
playing
fun.
around soldering.
I was moving the washer and dryer from our main floor down to the basement. My wife wanted the space for a closet. So I did that. I did the pipes, and I soldered around the joint. I cleaned it and flexed it and soldered around the joint, turned it on, pin leaks. Did that about 3 times. I couldn't get it to stop leaking. Finally, I was sitting there heating it up, and all of a sudden, it got hot enough, and it just sucked the solder in, and that's how you sweat a pipe. You just
Interesting.
heat it up enough, touch the solder to it, and boom, it sucks it in.
And
That's
sealed the
simple.
pipe?
That's how you do the joints. It's that simple. It's totally easy once you learn how
You
to do
know
it.
how to do it.
Yeah,
my
but
gosh.
I didn't know, and I
Right.
didn't look up anything. I just learned by trial and
You
error.
didn't look in the encyclopedia.
So
That's how I
that's
had to look
kinda-
things up when I was a kid.
That's kind of how I've learned everything, is just
Yeah.
by trial and error. And,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
Back
that's
in
how
the
most
day,
people-
the encyclopedia gets updated, right?
every
so
year, yeah.
do you have to buy a new one every year?
Kind
you
of,
go
or
to
you
the
wait.
library
You
or
wait a
something.
couple. Yeah, you usually wait a couple years and then do it, or go to the library. Back in my day,
I mean, I'm not.
when I wrote
I'm not
reports,
the youngest. Like, I still know what a rotary phone is
Yeah.
in the phone book, but like,
yeah, because when I was young, we had encyclopedias. We had a whole set of encyclopedias at my house, or we had to
Like,
go
I
to the
need to do
library
a-
to do.
Yeah,
a
my
book.
report on
parents-
plants, so I'm gonna
I had to
get
go to
my
the
pea
library. Seriously,
encyclopedia.
that's how it was.
My parents had a set. I think they're from the 40s or something. I mean,
I see people trying
I'd
to
never
sell those
looked
on
at 'em
Facebook
much.
Marketplace, and it's like nobody needs
Why
those.
do you need that?
Just part with those. That's
Right.
some good
Unless you
kindling.
need some cool looking books if they're in good condition
Yeah,
for
for
like a
old
backdrop.
school stuff.
You know.
That's right. For Harry Potter party.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, we digress. This
Oh,
is,
that's fine.
We're
No.
very much like that. But
Yeah.
okay, so they know how to contact you. BeAwareHomeInspections.com.
right.
Say your phone number one more time.
801-792-6479.
Okay.
So that's my cell phone. Call or text. Happy to answer whenever.
And his name's Brigham Young, so you can remember that
Gotta
here in
remember
Utah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming in. It helps our clients and our friends know what they need to be looking for and who to contact when they need it. And we'll be putting Brigham on our website as well.
And if
so.
you need an
Awesome.
experienced home inspector.
Yeah, I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I do them all myself. A lot of companies have people that work for them, and so you're not sure who you're going to get.
It's true.
And but I do them all myself. I do all the reports myself. So you get me from start to finish on every job.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
That's
okay, well,
amazing.
thanks for coming in. It was great having you.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks.
Thanks.